Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1274. Hi, I am Mike Matthews, broadcasting from Café Anyway here on 1274, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, Mont, the last place on earth. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. This is a show where people come in and interrupt me as I try and talk about the day's interesting events.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
We kind of parse through the stuff that happened and the stuff that will happen forevermore.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Today's segment is a little ditty called Ain't Life Grand? I wish that my name was Stan, because then I could go around and say, look at me, man. I have huge hands. Look at my hands. They're so... No, they're all right.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
What a singing voice I have, huh? So that was a thing back at UCSB.
Mike's
UC Santa Barbara.
Daily
Where I attended college.
Podcast.
Where I knew a young Sean Hannity.
Yeah.
Yes, I knew Sean Hannity. I met him, talked to him a couple times. Back then, he seemed nice. And there was we had a little, like, you know, every college has their little plaza, their little quad, their little meeting area. And in our little quad, our little meeting area, we had MTV show up. MTV showed up and they had a little stage. And they said, you can get up there and sing. There was no musical accompaniment, just a microphone. And if you went up there, they would do two things. They'd give you a cassette of you singing. So basically, it was a 90-minute cassette, and you were just singing your song at the beginning of it. So you got a free 90-minute blank cassette, basically. Good quality cassette. Back in those days, back in the late 80s, that's what it was all about, was recording everything onto cassette. I still have probably 90% of the cassettes that I had from that time. I still have. It's crazy, and I'll listen to them once in a while. It's been a while. Some of them have just broken down, which then I try to repair, which is sort of a feeble attempt, because they're disappearing. They're not built to last, basically, cassettes, in my opinion. But I sang that Georgia Satellite song. Oh, look, I just walked in. I got a little change in my pocket going jing-a-ling-a-ling. Wanna call you on the telephone, baby. Give you a ring, but each time I call, it's the same old thing. No huggy, no kissy, until I get a wedding ring. My honey, my baby, don't put my love upon no shelf. You said don't give me those lines and keep your hands to yourself. This was a huge song in the 80s. Huge. Georgia Satellites had this big hit amongst all the stuff. You know, when you think of 80s music, you think of all the synthesizer-y stuff. All the Depeche Mode and Eurythmics, but there was, and The Cure, but there was the Georgia Satellites that shot. There'd be these big punches of Southern rock in the top 40. You'd have your 38 Special and your, I guess, John Mellencamp kind of had that sound, and some of Bruce Springsteen's stuff. And I'll think of others. REM was from Georgia. Look who else just walked in. So I did that. I sang the song. They gave me the cassette, and they gave me a MTV tank top. I do not have the tank top anymore. I had it for about 20 years, and then I got married, and then it got donated. But it was funny because it was a white background and a bright pink MTV. Everything was bright pink in the 80s, and bright pink. Even if you were male, you could still look manly and wear the pink. It was okay. And I think there was like sort of the fluorescent-y blue and other colors, but imagine the MTV logo, and that's what was on the shirt. Had it for a long time. Good old UCSB. So a couple people walked in. I don't know if you noticed, you heard the door open. So that means some people walked into Café Anyway. Let's find out who.
Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. What a wonderful story.
Yes, thank you, Chely.
Mike, this is Floyd the Floorman.
And this is John Deere, the engineer, Mike. My time machine could take us back there to UCSB when you were a young man with your mullet. No. We'll use the time machine for something else some other time. Oh, actually, can we use the time machine to go back and ride the trip through inner space, the Adventures Through Inner Space ride at Disneyland? Sure, we can use that right now. All right, let's use that. We'll go back in time to that ride and ride it now. Here we go.
I am the first person to make this fabulous journey. Suspended in the timelessness of inner space are the thought waves of my first impressions. They will be our only source of contact once you have passed beyond the limits of
Magnification. Magnification. Oh,
Magnification.
I loved that ride so much. Paul Freeze is that voice, and Haley and I were talking about it yesterday. Haley is a millennial and is too young. He never got the chance to ride that ride because now it's Star Tours now at Disneyland, that ride. And I showed him, there's a virtual tour of it on YouTube, and Haley was just, what is this? This is amazing. So this is what this ride looked like. Somebody reconstructed the entire ride using like CGI, but kind of like a lo-fi CGI. Do you have Wi-Fi? Is that how you're listening to the show today? Through Wi-Fi? So I just thought I would share that with you, and we're back in 2017.
And here's today's podcast picture.
I think. And this is a podcast picture from, I think, 2015? 16? I took Basil the Boxer to Half Moon Bay. And it was that really, really hot day we had last year. I think that's what this is from. And I went after work. I think this is about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was still freaking hot. And I had to just stand in the water. The ocean is always cold here in Northern California. And I just had to be in the water. And Basil does not like to go that far into the water. But there's a picture from the water and the foam and Basil and Half Moon Bay. It's wonderful. See that picture now at mikesdailypodcast.com if you want. You could also go there if you want to help out the show. There's an Amazon link. Click on that Amazon link, buy whatever it is you're going to buy, and that helps us out tremendously. Thank you. There's also a PayPal if you'd like to help us out that way. You'll get a special greeting from all the Café Anyway characters and become a Mike's Daily Podcaster. There's all the past podcast pictures, past interviews. I might have an interview with a rap artist. There is a wonderful woman I have run into a couple of times named Diana. She's got a beautiful Labrador named Buddy. And I ran into her yesterday, and she mentioned that her daughter is a rapper, and so that would be very awesome to have her on the show. Last interview I did was with the band Fake Your Own Death and Terry Ashkenaz of that band. So what is the deal with Lady Gaga and people body shaming her because I guess they stopped one of the pictures, and they claim that she has a belly or something, and she looks fantastic. Shut up with that. That's all I have to say to that. And that's about, and the Christy Brinkley. Did you see the pictures of her and her daughters? One of them by Billy Joel, who's all grown up. They're all in bikinis. They look lovely. Christy Brinkley in her 60s looks lovely. It's amazing. That's the good news today. We have some even more interesting news, and I'm going to bring that to you in just a moment here. But the phone's ringing. Hello?
Hi, Mike. This is Christy Brinkley.
Oh, hey, Christy. Thanks for calling. What's up?
I wanted to thank you for all the nice words you just said about me.
You're very welcome. Wow, beautiful daughters. You're looking beautiful. I mean, not that beauty's the most important thing.
I know, Mike. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's all about what's on the inside that matters, and, you know, the what you bring to the world and what you share.
That's right, Mike. Thank you very much for that.
You're very welcome. Now the segment called Ain't Life Grand.
Ain't Life Grand.
Okay, so have you been to Mars lately? Have you eaten a Mars bar lately? They're delicious. Hey, scientists have long believed that, hey, I know I say hey a lot. I'm trying to cut down on that and other vocal crutches. Do you have a vocal crutch? Record yourself, play it back. You'll hear it and you'll go, oh, I guess I say that a lot. And then you'll stop. That's what podcasting helps you do. Podcasters get to hear all the thing if they listen to their podcasts. Scientists have long believed that Mars lost its liquid water very gradually. This according to Engadget, turning into a mostly dry planet over an extremely long time frame. However, they may have to toss that assumption out the window because a University of Colorado Boulder team has discovered that Mars has an atmosphere escape route, which may have helped hydrogen drift into space at much faster rates. Mars Express data shows that water molecules float higher than usual during the planet's warmer seasons, avoiding an Earth-like cold trap that keeps water close to the ground. By the way, I don't know if I didn't say, the trip through inner space ride, the Adventures through Inner Space, was all about shrinking you down and putting you in a snowflake. That was a ride at Disneyland, and it was sponsored by Monsanto, just so as you know. So there's a lot of water in today's show, I guess. Once the molecules are in the middle atmosphere, ultraviolet light helps break them up into oxygen and hydrogen. And since hydrogen is very light, it doesn't take much for the element to escape Mars' gravity. More findings are needed to illustrate exactly what happens. And this will be supplied through Europe's future trace gas orbiter. But the implications, that's not a word, are significant. Significant. It suggests that Mars may have lost water at wildly varying rates, and that the time scales for that loss could be very different than previously thought. If nothing else, it's a reminder that other planets aren't guaranteed to behave like Earth. Even subtle differences could have a dramatic impact on another world's ability to support life. As we go outside of Café Anyway, we're bringing you Mike's Daily Podcast, Somewhere Podcaster Valley. Some days I bring you stories where I have no idea what I just said. But that's neither here nor there, over there, or behind us, or Christy Brinkley, or anything. They're about you and what you do with today. I think that's pretty much it. Wear a tank top, do something fun today. Enjoy it, is what I'm saying. Next show, we're going to have Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. Oh boy.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!